Hey everyone, my name's Noah for those of you who are new here, but if you're not new here, then welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different and just giving you guys tips and advice on one particular plant. As you could tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you tips on caring for a Begonia maculata, and I will pretty much jump right into it because there's a lot to get into. I would say it's an easy care plant as far as begonias go, especially. It's definitely one of the easier begonias, but there are some things to master before you can really get the hang of taking care of this plant. So let's get right into the video. All right, so let's start off with lighting. So first of all, as far as the lighting goes for these guys, they can tolerate medium light for sure. But if you do want that fast growth, you are gonna wanna do bright and direct light. I, of course, use LED grow lights, and I do have them linked in the description box if you're interested in the ones I use. But honestly, any LED grow light will do. They're not that picky about lighting, to be honest, especially because they can tolerate medium light conditions. The LED grow light I currently use is not the strongest one out there. There definitely are stronger ones, so that's why I kind of keep them near my window, so they do get some sort of morning light from this window as well. They do get the light from outside as well as the LED grow lights, so they definitely like a lot of bright light. Of course, you are going to want to avoid direct sunlight, and a lot of people ask me, well, Noah, what exactly is direct sunlight? Because it seems like the bright light from my window is directly on my leaves. Now you have to remember that you do have a window in between the outside and the inside, obviously, so once that light is going through the window, it's automatically filtering it. So it is bright indirect light because the window is filtering it a little bit. So the window that I have my plant nearby is an east facing window. East facing windows are really great. I do get morning light, but then after that it's just regular, like the sun is not blaring on it. So I really only get, I would say, direct light on the window for like 30 minutes when the sun's rising, and maybe a little bit longer, maybe an hour, but that's honestly it. If you have, for example, like a north facing window, those get a ton of light, and if you have it directly on your windowsill and it's just getting bright light for hours and hours on end, then it could scorch the leaves. I would definitely not necessarily recommend putting them outside unless it's a very shaded area. If it's completely shaded outside, then they will be fine. The only thing I worry about with taking them outside is pests, and we will get into pests a little bit later on in this video. But as far as lighting goes, you don't have to worry too much. Just make sure it's near a window. Honestly, most facing windows will do. If you have north, south, east, west, as long as it's close to the window, you'll be fine. If you do start seeing the leaves are scorched and that is like they look a little bit fried, then definitely move it a little bit further away from your window, but they're pretty easy care when it comes to lighting. All right, so the watering schedule. I think as long as you can master the watering schedule for Begonia maculatas, then you're gonna be great with them. The main thing I will tell everyone is only water with filtered water. I don't know what it is about most begonias, but they just do not like tap water. Like if I gave this plant tap water, and I have when I first got it, it will die. I had a Begonia maculata completely die because I did not know that it needed filtered water. So I just use my Brita filter that I drink myself out of, but if you wanted, you could buy water bottles or whatever it is that you want to do, but definitely make sure you're only watering with filtered water. Like unless it's dying because it's so thirsty and you don't have any other water around, seriously do not water it with regular tap water. It will be mad at you and it will show it. The leaves will pretty much die off one by one and you're just not gonna have a happy plant. So I definitely I'm telling you guys that you have to use filtered water for this plant. That's really the only main thing with the Begonia maculata is filtered water. Every other plant I have, I water with tap water except for the Begonia maculata, and that's the one annoying thing, but honestly it's not that hard. Sometimes I'll even, as I'm drinking water myself, just pour some into the Begonia maculata. We share water, so it's really not that hard, but that is one thing. Another question people always ask me is, should I mist the leaves? Because of course they are a tropical houseplant and they love humidity. Most houseplants do like higher humidity, they just thrive in it. It's just how plants are in the wild in their natural environment. So most plants really love high humidity. However, I do not advise to mist the Begonia maculata leaves. Begonias in general, not just the maculata, but most begonias do not like to have their leaves wet and they will curl and fry up. It could be the damage that mine has. As you could see, it's kind of fried at the tip and curls in a little bit, and it is a little bit fried at the top, and it could be because the plant has gotten wet. Sometimes I'm very messy and sloppy with watering my Begonia maculata, and I kind of water a lot of my plants at the same time, and sometimes they'll drip onto this plant, and it's a mess sometimes because I have so many plants, you know. I think that is why some of the leaves I have do have some damage. So I definitely do not recommend misting them. If you really insist on misting and that's how you get humidity near your houseplants, maybe just mist a little further away so the leaves don't stay wet, or mist it and wipe the leaves up if you must, but I definitely do not recommend getting the leaves wet. So another thing with the watering schedule is, yes, you're gonna water with filtered water, but when do you water? How do you know when you're gonna water? So Begonia maculatas tend to be unhappy when they are too dry. I recommend getting a moisture reader and sticking it about 2 to 3 inches into the soil, and if it does say it's on like 3, 4, or 5, I would maybe water it. You do have to be a little bit careful because you definitely don't want to overwater. Overwatering will kill your Begonia maculata right away, but also it does like to stay moist, so don't let it dry out too much. Maybe wait to be safe till it gets to the number 4, which is between dry and moist, and water it then. Give it a nice good drink and make sure that it's not sitting in its drained water. Make sure to dump that as well because you don't want to overwater this plant. So a lot of times you will notice that the leaves will look droopy, and that's when you know it needs to be watered. Also, the leaves will start dying off, and that's probably a sign that you need to get on a better watering schedule with the filtered water. It does not like to be too dry, honestly. So that's one of the main things to remember when it comes to this plant. But I water mine about once a week, and that's been working out really well. Really just try to keep in mind what day you have been watering on and keep it on that schedule, because for the most part it will drink about the same every week. That's the whole thing with the watering. Another thing is fertilization. Begonia maculatas and just begonias in general do like to be fertilized kind of often. In the springtime right now, like the growing season, I do try to remember to fertilize. I don't always, so if you do miss out on the fertilizing schedule, it's not going to die or anything, so don't worry about that. It's just gonna help it grow faster. So I do try to fertilize it about every 3 weeks. Could honestly do it every 2 weeks, but I do it every 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, and all I do is I add some of the fertilizer. I just use the regular Miracle-Gro, again linked in my description box. I just use that. I buy it on Amazon or Home Depot if I'm out shopping. I put a little bit into my watering jug and I follow the instructions on what the box says that it needs, and I just water with that. So all I do is fill up my watering can with the filtered water, and I do add a few pumps of the fertilizer, and I will water it with that, and that just really helps it grow super fast. Mine has a ton of stalks and it did not start out like this, so it's definitely very happy, especially because I take so many cuttings from it. There's one part right here that I did take a cutting from, and it's already growing another leaf from. So definitely recommend fertilizing it often in the springtime. In the winter, you don't have to do it that often. I would say that in the wintertime, I honestly sometimes don't even fertilize it. So just worry about the spring growing season. And just to make it easier on you with watering, make sure that the soil is well draining, and that's going to really help prevent root rot and overwatering. So if the soil is well draining, and that means having a ton of perlite and bark and whatever else you guys use, it's going to help with preventing overwatering. So even if you do overwater, it will drain out really well and it won't get root rot. I definitely recommend having well draining soil for this plant, but also all of your other house plants. It's so important, and it's going to help you out in the long run. So the next thing to discuss about the Begonia maculata is propagation, and I've propagated mine so many times, and I do sell it on my Etsy plant shop. So if you don't know, you can go check that out. It's called the Plant Casa. I'll leave it linked in the description box. But I propagate this plant so easily. Literally all you have to do is cut anywhere below or above a leaf node, and that's pretty much it. Stick it in water, stick it in sphagnum moss. The roots will sometimes grow out of the little area where the leaves grow out of, but other times they will just grow out of the stem like I'm showing here, and it's so easy to propagate. Of course it does take a lot of time, but just be patient. I put mine in water for like 2 months before I can pot it up. I pot it up once the roots get like 2 inches long, I'd say. I do have some stages of propagation here to show you guys. I potted this one up like a month ago, and it was just one leaf, and it actually never grew another leaf while it was being propagated, and potting it up. It still has not grown another leaf, but it will, so I'm not losing out hope. This has happened to me many times, and then eventually it does start growing. This one has been doing a lot better. This one I potted up maybe like 2 months ago, and it did have just one leaf to start off with. It did give me this one, and it's actually pushing out 2 new leaves right now at the moment. So very, very easy to propagate. I do wait until I've had them potted up for like 3 or 4 months before listing them on the Etsy shop, but just so you know, that's how to propagate it. Super easy. If you want me to go more in depth, definitely make sure to comment down below and let me know, and I can do a separate video on just that. But yeah, that's gonna be propagating. Lastly, I just want to talk about pests on a Begonia maculata. They really are not susceptible to too many pests. So if you do have them in a greenhouse and it's very humid in there, then of course most plants will get some pests. But for the most part, Begonia maculatas do not get a lot of pests, and that's because they don't really like the leaves on the Begonia maculata. Spider mites don't really like them too much because there's not enough like ridges and dips for them to get into. They really are good at just keeping away pests naturally, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Of course, the one main problem pest that everybody has is the fungus gnats, and I do have a solution to combating that. So if you do notice too many fungus gnats flying out of your Begonia maculata, and that can happen very easily since they do like to stay moist. Fungus gnats love a moist environment, so they will feed into that soil on your Begonia maculata, create and lay a ton of eggs and have so many babies, and it'll just get out of hand. Trust me, I know firsthand. I've had to deal with this so many times, and I do have a method to get rid of them. Go ahead and purchase mosquito bits. You can buy them. Actually, I haven't really seen them in stores, to be honest. I get mine on Amazon, and all I do is I take a scoop of this and I put it into the watering can that I'm going to water my begonias with. So you have the watering can, you add some mosquito bits, and you add some fertilizer. You do that about once a month, and you water your plant with that. Now, I let the mosquito bits steep into the water for about an hour. This is only if you have fungus gnats. You don't have to do it unless you do want to have a preventative for it, but you don't have to do this. It's only if you have fungus gnats. So of course it will be more of a hassle and it does take more work, but it's so worth it. I don't have any more fungus gnats anymore from watering all my plants with some mosquito bits. So that's gonna be it for my Begonia maculata houseplant care guide. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you have any other tips and tricks on the Begonia maculata? I would love to hear it. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below, and of course subscribe to my channel. I have a ton of fun content coming out soon. I'm gonna be moving with all of my houseplants, and I have a ton of great care guide videos for you guys coming up. So don't miss out on that. I post new videos every single Thursday and Sunday, and I'll see you guys next time.